Good morning. Thank you, Bill. As Bill mentioned earlier, my name is Travis Parsons, and I'm Senior Director of Business Development at SESME Corporation. I want to thank the panel, or excuse me, the FCC Media Bureau for inviting me to sit on the panel, and the rest of the panelist members here that are all working to innovate and make sure that we continue to push things forward as it relates to the broadcast industry. Specifically, I'd like to address the role innovation is playing in helping traditional broadcasters reach their audiences and the advances that's taking place in technology that are spurring new content distribution opportunities. My company, SESME, is a great example of both of these topics, and it's thriving as a direct result of the digital transition. Before I get into this and talk in a little more detail about that, as well as some of the policies that are taking place and that I encourage the Commission to consider, it might make sense to take a step back and understand what SESME is and give you a little bit of a background on the formation of the company and what we're out there doing with consumers today. SESME, for those of you that are not aware, is a new, innovative, low-cost, more affordable television service that we've launched. And by using technology advances in both the broadcast and the broadband industries, we're able to deliver a service that at the end of the day is a replacement for cable and satellite. We allow viewers to have convenient access to the full diversity of programming voices. Content providers should not be limited in terms of how they get their programming out to consumers. SESME firmly believes, and this has been a part of our thinking from the very, very beginning. So with that being said, the company was founded nearly 4 years ago by Bruno Patti and Phil Weiser. Both entrepreneurs and veterans here in the Silicon Valley have started several companies between the two of them. And the vision of the company really evolved out of the frustration that was taking place with their current television service providers. That's the one bill in the home that's continued to climb over the last 20 years in terms of costs, but yet have we seen a better experience at the end of the day? And in our opinion, no, we haven't. So in the early days, we sat down and we decided if we were going to launch a television service, what would it look like? And let's do it from the consumer's perspective. And if you could do that, as with any great startup, we could start with a clean slate of paper and go out there and design the platform from the very beginning and design it properly. And when you look at some of the pillars that we were able to approach, and I'll go through each of these, we think that we've put a pretty compelling service out there for consumers that makes it a more rich and affordable experience for them as viewers. The first is that it would start around and revolve around on demand. And when I say on demand, meaning it allows consumers to watch what they want to watch when they want to watch it. Make it convenient for them. And if you're going to do that, we should also make it wireless. We've got this incredible infrastructure out there, the DTV transition that took place in the broadcast industry to the tune of $6+ billion that was spent on it. Let's leverage that. Let's take advantage of that in the ways that it should be. And as Ravi and both Sam had mentioned earlier, that is the most efficient way to deliver content to the masses and to the audiences. So if you can deliver this television service wirelessly into the home, it'll also allow for a simple self-install model. So with the SESME service, you take it out of the box, you connect it up to your TV, and you're up and running and watching television in HD television in a matter of minutes, as opposed to having somebody come out to the home, truck rolls, laying cables all over your home, and creating fire hazards in terms of wires, for that matter. But in order to do this, you've got to have all the content that people want to watch, and you've got to have a comprehensive content lineup. So that's what we've done over the last several years, is gone out there and put those content relationships in place with the major studios, making sure that obviously all of the over-the-air channels are being received and picked up by our antenna. And it's worth noting what we've done is we've developed an indoor reception system that picks up all the over-the-air stations, and then we go out there and we put partnerships in place with the local broadcasters and license their excess spectrum or their spare capacity in order to deliver a majority of the cable network programming. So that, combined with the internet connection that comes into the home, that allows us to really create a hybrid architecture to deliver all the content that consumers want to watch. And more importantly, what it does is it actually gives content producers and content sources a new voice and a new way to get into the home, which is incredibly important. It's an opportunity where they may not have had traditional access via the cable or satellite services. Now they can go out there and they can, through SESME, they can either distribute the content potentially wirelessly over the broadcast network, or do it over the broadband connection. So we're creating those new opportunities to do that. And then in addition, I don't think that any of us would say that there's a lack of content that's available out there. I think what people want to do is figure out what's relevant to them and have that content bubble up to the surface so that you can easily access it. And Sesame is doing some unique things on the personalized side of things to enrich the service and make it that much stronger for you as an individual viewer. A couple of things with regards to this particular topic on the changing distribution channels and what we've been able to accomplish. Just a few thoughts with regards to policy that I would like or encourage the commission to think about. A couple folks up here have mentioned spectrum efficiency and the fact that the broadcast infrastructure is the best way to distribute a majority of the content. And Sesame firmly believes that. If you look at how we were designing our system back in the beginning, we looked at what viewers watched. And the fact of the matter is that well over 50% of all the content consumed still comes from all the over-the-air stations. ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, KXA, like Ravi's station. The ability to go out there and access that, don't deny that. And then if you take a majority of the most popular cable network content, and you can distribute that wirelessly over the broadcast infrastructure and that DTV spectrum, you're all of a sudden being incredibly efficient about distribution. And if you complement that with the broadband connection that comes into the back of the home, now what you've done is you've taken two great technologies that are out there. It doesn't have to be an either or. They need to coexist and come together. And when you can do that, that's an opportunity to make sure that spectrum is being used in the most efficient manner possible. And it also allows for a system to go out there and make it more affordable for consumers at the end of the day. I talked about us being less expensive than cable and satellite. And one of the ways that we're able to do that is because we're able to leverage that infrastructure out there that broadcasters have invested in so heavily over the last number of years. And with our partnerships, we're able to help them unlock and tap into that spectrum to deliver a more compelling experience to consumers. The other thing that I'd like to bring up is the fact that Sesame and broadcasters partnering together really help to bridge the digital divide. Because our service is affordable, there's no personal computer that's required. So Sesame believes that a greater number of households will gain access to the internet video content. And because we utilize that home internet connection, we see more web-based video services coming onto the platform. The services are directly into the consumer's home and help bring more households into the digital era by providing both internet video and the traditional broadcast and cable network programming that they deserve and that they want. The other point that I'll bring up is the looming spectrum crisis. This has been an important factor in meeting wireless broadband demand. The wireless industry has asserted that there is a looming spectrum crisis out there due to exploding wireless demand. But there is little in the record about what the wireless industry can do to address this demand short of obtaining more spectrum. This is particularly peculiar given that based on the wireless industry's own predictions, spectrum reallocation will do little to address consumer demand. For example, AT&T believes that mobile data traffic will grow 300 times by 2018. But tripling the amount of commercial wireless spectrum means that only 1% of their demand problem is being solved. The Commission accordingly should be considering whether an ambitious nationwide broadcast spectrum reallocation can be justified if the benefit is so negligible. Given, as CTIA explains, that the kernel of the wireless industry's consumer demand problem is localized congestion, the Commission should maybe be factoring in the merits of localized solutions and giving that certainly some thoughts. More generally, the Commission should be considering whether technological advances like Wi-Fi, high-volume storage devices, pricing structure, and complementary services like Sesame will mitigate the burden on wireless broadband networks and help address consumer demand. And the last important factor that I want to mention is licensee flexibility. The FCC licensees should have the flexibility to innovate and respond to always changing market demands and technology capabilities. A complementary hybrid service such as Sesame, which delivers popular video programming by broadcast and less popular by broadband, reduces the load on wireless networks, and it helps wireless providers manage consumer demand. Sesame can provide their service because broadcasters have the flexibility to utilize their spectrum and to participate in the hybrid network that makes the innovation and affordability possible. This is just but one example of the benefit that regulatory flexibility can offer to licensees and consumers alike. So in our opinion, Never before has the broadcast industry presented such great potential. SESME helps broadcasters realize that full potential of their digital broadcast signal by reconnecting broadcasters directly with their viewers and creating new opportunities for the distribution of their content. SESME believes that use of the existing ATSC DTV infrastructure to provide advanced entertainment information services is the best use of spectrum in the public interest. Once again, thank you for taking the time for allowing me to speak about SESME and how innovation and technology is spurring new content distribution opportunities, expanding broadcasters' audiences, and unlocking the full potential of broadcaster signals.